Fine, if I call the meeting to order, please. I'm not using a microphone, so I hope everyone can hear me. Can we be quiet, please?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the meeting. As you know, if there was an earthquake or fire, we have to leave by that exit door where you came in. We have our usual filming system. Is there anyone else filming the meeting? I guess. I should perhaps explain at this point in response to the question at the last meeting from Councillor McCallum, that under paragraph 3L of the standing orders, a person who attends a meeting is permitted to report on the meeting whilst the meeting is open to the public. To report, you love this is typical legalese. To report means to film, photograph, make an audio recording of meeting proceedings, use any other means for enabling persons not present to see or hear the meeting as it takes place or later, or to report or to provide oral or written commentary about the meeting. It goes on. So that the report or commentary is available as the meeting takes place or later to persons not present. It also adds that a person present at a meeting may not provide an oral report or oral commentary about a meeting as it takes place without permission. Now, the legal right of people present to report on a meeting is without question, and indeed we encourage it through our own recordings in terms of transparency and accountability to the public. I think the procedure of inviting anyone else who is recording or reporting on a meeting to indicate it is really to safeguard those members of the public who would not normally appear on our screen but who may be subject to filming by others who would not wish to be filmed to indicate so or to take the necessary precautions. I would not wish to restrict in any way the transparency and accountability which we give to these meetings. Indeed, I would hope that as interest in the council grows, that more people might be interested in knowing what goes on. And we need to look, I think, for the future in ways in which we can increase that transparency and make the meeting more accessible to citizens of Westgate. I hope that answers the question sufficiently. Thank you very much. Do we have any apologies for absence?
No.
I know that everyone is here. We have some minutes to look through and approve or receive. Firstly, the minutes of the council meeting held last month on the 5th of March. You have seen the draft minutes, I hope. Are there any comments? I see none. Would somebody like to propose to accept them? Is everyone in favour? Yes. Councillor King, Councillor Rolfe, are you in favour or? Sorry, yeah. We then have minutes of the Human Resources Committee, the Events and Tourism Committee and the Finance and General Purposes Committee held during February to receive. Do we have comments on them, Councillor King?
Yeah. On the Human Resources, minute number 639, which was also covered by a confidential closed session, I would suggest that these minutes are withdrawn because they are not fit for presentation. The confidential item, which discussed under obviously a confidential closed session. It's totally inaccurate. In fact, it doesn't resemble anything like what's written down here. And I also noticed that the Human Resources Committee made up of Councillor Cornford as chair, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Page and Councillor Pennington, and I don't think any of you were there. At the incident that was being recorded. Not the Human Resources, obviously, but at the actual incident that you are going to, it says here, well, let's read it out. It says it's in a minute.
No, sorry. Firstly,
Well, we can't allow a load of lies to be put down under confidentiality. I mean, because it's lies.
no, all what's
So those
recorded in the
are the
minutes
names
is that a report was received.
A report was received.
Which doesn't mean to say, it doesn't mean
Well, you're acting on it.
anything more than a report was received.
You're acting on it. You've got it here. You're going to act on it. You're going to write to the councillor in concern about the behaviour. You don't even name who the councillor is. It's just totally ambiguous. I mean, what's this? 1960 South Africa, don't it? This is a made-up job. We know who reported it, and you wasn't there, and Councillor Page wasn't there, and neither was Councillor O'Connor. So you should look down on the say-so of one person. You should withdraw it.
What happened at the meeting was that a report wasn't received.
An unsubstantiated report was received.
That's for us to decide.
No, it's a fact. I've just told you. Those three people weren't there.
But that's not.
They wasn't at the alleged incident.
I'm sorry, if you want to vote against us receiving this report.
No, it's not
that's
why I
fine.
voted against it. Well, why haven't you named the person in it then?
I am.
Why haven't
simply
you named the person in it, and why have you not actually called that person to give their version of accounts before you make a decision? You should withdraw.
These minutes refer simply to receiving a report.
A concocted story, unsubstantiated. That's what it is. There's no substantiation whatsoever because the three other people on the Human Resources Committee who are making this judgment to say yes weren't there.
Well, I'm sorry. We are asked to receive a report, or the Human Resources Committee was invited to receive a report. All it did was receive a report.
What part?
I suggest that if you aren't happy with these minutes, you vote against them.
But that's not good enough, is it? You can't make up stories about people and then put them through in minutes as if they happened when the people at the actual incident were not even there. They wouldn't know. They're only going on one person's report. One person. Unsubstantiated.
Well, I don't know that it was a Councillor Cornford asking for.
I don't understand what Councillor
Makes
Case
a
is
change.
about, because there was more than one person there. I personally was there,
Yeah.
and this is a completely valid report. We can't allow councillors to behave badly. We have a code of conduct, and councillors are supposed to adhere to that code of conduct. And this is exactly the sort of thing that should be Councillor King should have approached the clerk prior to this meeting.
Oh, I'm being named now. Well, why was I not named in this?
You're here sitting
Why
here
was I
making-
not named in this?
I'm naming you now because you're the one complaining about the minutes.
Yeah,
This is
concocted
very-
story.
this is completely
Your
un-
concocted
this-
story. You was the only one in the office.
Excuse me, I was not
Well-
the only one in the office.
Well, the only one apart from the witness who will verify what you said isn't true. Put it that way then.
The local clerk was in the office, the
Thank you.
administrator was in the office,
Yeah.
I was in the office,
Yeah?
and the warden was in the office. Not
Yeah,
the warden.
yeah.
These two.
And none of them were, yeah, and who's going to back you up?
What do you mean back me up?
Well,
Because it didn't happen.
look,
It didn't happen.
Are you on some kind of medication, Councillor?
Well, I've got that please. I'd like that minute.
Yes.
I'd like that minute. Councillor Cornford implied that I'm on medication. Please minute that.
Well, it's pure fantasy, Councillor.
Yeah, on your behalf, Councillor Cornford. On your
No, I was
behalf.
there.
You went away, made up a story, and 3 people that weren't at the incident have agreed to it.
Firstly, look, I'm sorry.
Withdraw the minutes. Withdraw the minutes.
Can I
You are the
intervene?
last person on the council
Withdraw
to
the
accuse
minutes.
anybody of making something up, Councillor King.
Councillor
Withdraw the
Cornford,
minutes.
Councillor King, can you speak through the chair, please?
Yes. Withdraw the minutes.
Councillor King, I always pay you that respect, and I ask for it as
Well,
well, not
fine,
argue with other
fine.
people. Councillor O'Connor.
This report was from a member of staff who felt that they were being bullied and therefore have every right to bring a report to a HR committee and ask HR to look into that report and to report on it, which is what this report was at the time. Yes, I was not at the particular incident, however, I was there for the report that came through, and a member of our staff is entitled to bring something to the HR committee that they are unhappy with or they feel that they're unhappy with.
Through the chair, I'm entitled to see a copy of the complaint. They've got it.
Isn't it a complaint to us?
Aye.
Through the chair,
Or was it talking to you?
Through the chair.
I was talking to the
through the chair.
Councillor Scott. and then
Sorry,
Councillor
I think there's a procedure that we're following, and Councillor King is trying to bully people into not...
Oh, here we go again, bully bit. Here we go, bully bit again. Don't stand up for yourself, call people the bully.
I am standing
I
up
did not
myself
do
right now.
I did not do anything
And
with
so
what
I
is
think we just
referred
follow
to.
procedure.
I'm in there.
I'm sorry.
I want those minutes withdrawn.
The
It's
council-
a pack of lies. It's a pack of lies. It's been concocted.
Councillor King, right apart from the substance.
Well, why didn't I get a copy of the complaint then?
All we are required to do at this meeting is receive those minutes.
You
You can
want-
complain
you-
about the substance.
You,
of those
Chairman,
minutes.
are not going to send me any letters, all right? You're very fond of sending letters out on behalf of other people here. You are not going to send me any letters,
That's not for you.
okay? So don't even try to.
Send you a letter.
You will not send me a letter. You will not be sending me a
Councillor
letter.
McCullough.
Sorry, can I just point out that according to the processes that we have set out as our policies, which are published on the website, that any complaints received about any councillor should be diverted to TDC for investigation. So after the HR meeting, that it should have been directed to complete the complaints form on the TDC website and actually send the complaint to them for dealing. And that's within the policies that were actually written by us as a council when it was formed in 2015, and is actually the procedure that's actually set out by Thanet District Council for handling complaints about councillors.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Cornford asked for the floor, I think.
It's been said.
No,
This
okay.
is perfectly valid.
Rubbish.
Councillor Rowe.
There is a code of conduct, Councillor King, and you have not...
Don't-
Councillor Cornford, can you...
Don't lecture me about a code of conduct because you don't adhere to it yourself, all right? I won't take it from you. It's a bit rich coming from you.
Would you like to explain yourself?
No, you wouldn't like me to.
Yes,
Excuse
You wouldn't like me to while the cameras are on, I'll tell you. You wouldn't like me to.
Look, I'll have to suspend the meeting if we carry
Don't
on.
threaten me in public.
Councillor Rolfe, you asked for the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair. You've just made a statement about sending everything in order to TDC. Well, when you do send things in order, and I'm assuming it was you, or perhaps you, 3 councillors, a complaint about me, which cost me a lot of sleep and upset me because it was so disgusting. And legal people have got hold of that. I'm just waiting for a letter to come back from TDC. And if I think what it's going to be, somebody's going to be in a bit of trouble.
Okay.
Because it was all lies. So don't
As
quote the real reasons or the right reasons for sending to TDC. You're cowards.
So,
You're cowards. I'm calling you in front of the
Look, come on.
coward.
Okay. Look, I'm sorry. I'm
Withdraw
not
the minutes
accepting
and
any
end it.
more
Withdraw the minutes.
I'm not accepting any more interventions. We are required
Withdraw the
to
minutes.
vote to receive these minutes. Is
No.
anybody
No.
in favour?
Travesty.
Proposed by Councillor Cornford, seconded by O'Connor.
Absolute
All those in favour?
concoction. Absolute concoction.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Disgraceful. Shame on all of you. Shame on all of you.
Abstain?
And you close your mouth.
Councillor Rolfe.
Why should I when I've got that thing sticking there? Grinning.
It's just a concoction.
Can we vote on the other minutes now?
Part of the complaint.
Ought to be ashamed.
We've got the minutes of the Events and Tourism Committee and the Finance and General Purposes.
1960 South Africa. Here we are. You would know.
Any comments on those minutes? No, that's all we like to propose. We receive them. Councillor Nicholl, Councillor O'Connor, looking at it tonight. All those in favour? Against? Abstentions? Thank you. Members of interest, has anybody got any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in that? I see none. Thank you. Report of the community warden. We do have a report. So
Yes, we do, Chairman, yes. Thank you. Okay, so Laura sent this report and she sends her apologies. It's been a very busy month and the types of jobs that she's been dealing with are drains. This does continue to be a problem as far as there are a lot of drains that are blocked with compacted earth. She continues to report them regularly, however they are not getting cleared very quickly and sometimes due to parked cars and other reasons it doesn't happen as quickly as she'd like. She will continue to report and when she comes across them. There are potholes still on junctions in Westgate, Westbrook and Garlinge, and again, once these are reported, these are quite speedily dealt with. She's had 4 talks to resident groups on scams this month due to the huge increase in different ways that roads are trying to scam. This can be done by telephone, computer, mail or door calling. Please note that Thanet District Council do not issue peddlers' licences. The lovely board they show when they turn up on your doorstep with pictures and a TDC logo is fake. Please do not get into an argument with them on the door. Be polite, no thank you, and close the door. Wardens across Thanet have been involved with a rather large project to bring the awareness of age appropriate to some of our local schools. This has kindly been paid for by some of the Kent County councillors. There continues to be a problem with MOTs lacking in some vehicles. And this is a reporting job, but the police should be dealing with it, so it's not the District Council for Police, and she continues to report these. There are also untaxed vehicles, which she continues to report as well, and these are mostly taken away by DVLA quite quickly. Coffee mornings are a must for her. It's not the coffee, but the engagement with residents. It's lovely to speak with everyone and find out about their issues and the problems that people are having. This results in a lot of referrals and information supplied, including phone numbers and contacts, etc. Can she please remind residents that as well as the lovely chat she has on the street, she's out and about and she can be contacted on her mobile telephone number and by email or dropping a note into the library. No problem is too big or too small, and if she can't help, then she'll know someone who can. And a little sub-note she sent later was, there are 3 homeless people in Westgate and Westbrook at the moment. She has informed Thanet District Council and they're working with the homeless charity people to get them some help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no one from KCC here, but I do see a Thanet District Councillor. Have you ever report?
Well, kind of. Nice to see everybody. This is probably going to be my last town council meeting, unless of course I'm re-elected in May. So obviously the elections have started, canvassing now has started in earnest. So I'm quite limited about some of the things I can discuss, unfortunately. But I can mention a few things that are going on at the moment that I hope will continue after May 2nd. I just wanted to pass on some good news. There was an application for planning on Sea Road, and it was the block of flats that was an eyesore, and I know it was abused here, and comments were made to the council. I also raised my concerns in planning as well, and it was refused at planning. It was also went to appeal, and it was lost. So that was really, really good news. So hopefully that will stay in the bin on the bottom of the tray somewhere. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunate, it's an ongoing problem in Lymington Road, with youngsters going over there after about 4 o'clock, and we suspect smoking cannabis. There is also been reported that adults have now been also going to the site, which is obviously a big concern because of what is happening with the youngsters and between these adults. I have raised it with the warden, although she has passed it back to the police. I'm also trying to get in touch with the communities team. I have got in touch with the communities team, but I haven't had a response yet. But I'm also in touch with the PCSO to see if we can put them on a plan together, because I think what we really need is presence of officers, to go there, perhaps talk to the kids about other places they can perhaps go to of an evening so they're not hanging around in the park. Because obviously what happens is they leave paraphernalia, drug paraphernalia, and then there's young kids going to that park too. So it's something obviously that we do need to address. Also on Sea Road, I've been trying to get some kind of law where we don't have campers, people staying overnight on Sea Road. It was a problem in the summer last year. I have struggled to get anything done with the bylaws, but Thanet District Council at the moment are doing something where they're using laws within the council that they can use in order to enforce no overnight stays. Now they're trialling something out in Ramsgate and Margate currently. If you walk along the seafront in Margate, where go towards the Winter Gardens, you'll see some signs that talk about no overnight camping. Now they can actually enforce something there, but they need to extend the area in which they're allowed to do it, but they have to apply to do that to make it more legislative. So as soon as that trial's gone through to see if that's working and has any effect, then hopefully we can extend it to other areas like Sea Road. And on that note, I will say thank you all for your support during my time as a councillor. And I hope you agree that we've managed to do quite a lot together in that time. We're obviously still working on the local plan issue, which we've got meetings coming up tomorrow and Thursday, and again next week, which both Sam and I will be talking on. I'm sorry I didn't give some apologies to Sam, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public would like to speak on some requests. I can also be quite brief because there are things to report that I can delegate to the people, which is always pleasant. On the asset transfers, which we've been working on for some time, and the agreement with TDC, we will deal with later in the meeting. This morning, I attended the opening session of the Planning Inspectorate's consultation on the local plan. I wasn't able to attend the afternoon session, and I think Councillor Scott was. So perhaps Councillor Scott can fill in some details. We weren't allowed at this point to have a seat at the main table. I found it very annoying that not only were we allowed to speak during the opening session, it was only the people who had been allocated places at the table. The only parish council there was Minster Parish Council, which was kind of interesting. But I wasn't even allowed to say hello to the chairman and introduce myself, which I found lack of courtesy. Anyway, our turn will come because we are on the lists for participating at least next week, and I think Scott having said that, the outline of the procedures seem quite rigorous. The inspectorate do seem open to challenges to the plan, and in particular to us identifying areas where we feel the plan is not sufficiently well argued or backed up with data. And I think that will be an interesting area during further discussions. But that's all I have to say for the moment. I'll hand over to the clerk for item 8.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, mine's just a quick couple of items really, just to report for you. 1 month ago, there was some damage caused to a playpen here when our tables were put back in the church. So I've been talking to Gillian here, and basically I'm going to put it to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that the Town Council should fund the replacement cost of £80 for that playpen that was damaged. I've been working with Councillor McKillop to research some recycling opportunities for the Town Council, and I'm pleased to confirm that the TerraCycle network has a lot of schemes. I've joined some initiatives that are outlined in the presentation that I'm going to circulate for you, and I hope that we can engage with other organisations and community groups in the town and encourage the participation in the town, the encouragement of the Town Council. And we can demonstrate that we're mindful of our eco-credentials and committed to a recycling programme that's a bit different. I think you'll find really well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors' reports. Councillor Scott.
First of all, I just wanted to make the comment that I was wondering if possible, in these councillors' reports, we just report what we've done in the past month rather than what we'd like to see or any kind of views or anything like that. So I think that's the point of reports, isn't it? Councillors report on what you've done since the last meeting, I think. So I just wondered if that was possible.
Yes.
So first of all, for me, just reiterating the 129C road. So when that came up, we knew that this was something that we needed to fight against, because otherwise it could open up floodgates for developments all the way along that side of the seafront. So also in our neighbourhood plan, we've been speaking about these 2 different seafront zones. One zone that has these 3, 4, 5-storey buildings, and then the other zone which is characterised by nice detached houses. And we were suggesting that perhaps in this zone we should demolish those kind of detached houses and build 3 or 4-storey flats, blocks of flats. So I wrote quite a long argument against that and sent it off to the inspectorate with the clerk's help. And we were really pleased that not only TDC was backing us, but CAG as well, and a number of residents as well, all pushed. And actually the inspectorate said that on the weight of it, it was more negative impact on the seafront and was not in character of the area compared to any positive effect of the flats and increase in housing. So that was an amazing outcome. So the first day of the local hearing today, they discussed overall how they decided on allocations, and that was quite interesting to hear. And the arguments against that were the fact that they actually used 100 or around 100 people in 2013 to come to some kind of thinking that the allocation should be bolt on the greenfield sites. So they should bolt them on to existing towns. And so our argument, or Craig's argument, who had the same sort of similar arguments as us, was suggesting that perhaps that was out of date. That back then in 2013, they were actually looking at about 7 or 9 or 12,000 houses. They weren't looking at 17.1 thousand houses, and perhaps if they had that figure, they may not have said, right, we'll bolt them all on to existing towns. They may have said, let's perhaps build a whole new town with all the services included. So that was the argument there. It seems to be quite an interesting process, and the inspectorate seems to be listening to all the comments. Have already suggested that TDC needs to add some more evidence and writing a document, which will be done, and then actually that goes to public consultation again in a couple of months' time. So he's quite on it, and he also seems to be quite environmentally friendly. He was asking lots of questions about wildlife, so that's good. So then tomorrow we're going to be speaking on the objectively assessed housing need, and then this Saturday we have a community meeting from 10 till 12 at the United, am I allowed to? Yeah, I am allowed to promote this, aren't I? Yeah. So at the United Reformed Church here, is it going to be here or is it going to be in the church?
In here.
In here? Okay. Hopefully we have enough space. I'm expecting a lot of people. So we're going to have a presentation on where we've come since the last meeting, which was at the Pavilion 2 years ago. It's actually March 2017, more than 2 years ago, where we've come from since then, and also present the information that's going to be presented at the local plan hearing with TDC's map for the 2,000 houses compared to the Millwood Homes and JTP map, and asking people, you know, what do they think about these two maps and housing density. So then next Wednesday, as I've said before in previous meetings, the main arguments are the objectively assessed housing need. We're trying to state that that's too high. If Manston comes back on board in the next year, we're asking for the 1,000 houses to be removed and put back to Manston. If they're going to build houses on Manston, then take that 1,000 houses off of our site. Don't know how that's going to go down, but we need to push it. Because that's the only thing based in law in the National Plan Policy Framework states that houses should be built on lower quality land first. So that's the thing that we have in law to be able to push. I don't know how it's going to be taken. And I think that's it, is that we're going to be at the local plan hearing tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday next week. And then this Saturday is going to be the community meeting starting at 10.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else, Councillor Nicola?
So mine's are very, very quickly. Just wanted to mention on the recycling scheme, while most of it is under TerraCycle, we have a couple of other initiatives that are running at the same time. So we have collection for ink cartridges, which the money that the turning cartridges into go to Food for the Hungry UK. TerraCycle, for every parcel that we send in of recycling, sorted by category, and we've picked very unique things to recycle, so things like bread bags, which people wouldn't normally think of doing, Pringles tubes, crisp packets, Garnier beauty products, biscuit boxes, etc. Every box that gets sent in, they give us points, and when you reach a certain level of points, they actually give you a cheque which you use for your own grants and your own charity funding. So it's actually quite a good initiative to get involved in. We had the guy from King Edinburgh's come down to collect his donation of trees last week on Friday, and he saw the promotion, and he's very keen to get the school involved in collecting and handing through the council as well. So I think it's a really good way to do something that's slightly different that would normally go into our black bins. Then Westgate and Bloom, the trees have arrived. They made a donation to King Edinburgh's school as they're building the World Wildflower Garden. And we're just waiting on TDC to rubber stamp where we want to plant the trees, and then we're ready to go with the first 300 trees and hedgerows to be planted. And the Bumblebee Conservation Trust that are going to sponsor the train station planting have asked if they can sponsor another area which is likely to be on Sea Road. So again, it gives us another free planting. Then just quickly on the pavilion, I've been taking it upon myself to keep in touch with Nicholas and the pavilion to work out what's happening, what stage they're at, etc. The legal process is becoming very long and drawn out. The tenant keeps changing solicitors, not paying bills, and having to start from scratch again. So at the moment, it doesn't look like much will happen to the pavilion this year, based on the timelines that they're looking at. The immediate concern is that they're having to get builders' quotes to shore up the roof, because the roof is close to collapsing. And so they've done temporary props, but they're all over it. And I will be seeing Nicholas again in 2 weeks' time. And then finally, just to touch on press, we've had really good press coverage. We've had a lot on the local examination. We got a really good, strong piece today in Kent Online where they actually put a poll up where people could actually vote on whether there's too many houses, too little houses, do we need more houses, etc. And I think that the local examination had 4 physical newspaper and print articles and about half a dozen online articles, which was really good. And then today I was just able to kind of confirm with Councillor Page very briefly, and we've managed to get 3 online articles and 2 press articles to go out this week on Westgate Day, which is getting good following as well. So our coverage in the press is actually meaning that pretty much every week we're getting some good coverage on the initiatives that we're doing. So I think that's achieving quite a lot. And that is me.
Thank you.
I think that's probably appropriate then for me to just revisit Westgate Day for people. It seems appropriate, although there's a lot of work going on in the background to achieving this in July this year. I would like to beg the patience of those of you who've heard this many times, but just as a reminder, we've created an anniversary for the town, which we're calling Westgate Day. The official date is the 18th of July, and that will continue annually. Leading up to that anniversary this year, I've been working with local schools and the care homes to get projects, Westgate-based projects underway, and they are currently working on themed projects with the following categories: history and heritage, art and creativity, environment and coast, writing and poetry. And there's an optional category for intergenerational. Now, I've had an email from St Michael's Care this week to say that they are linking directly with 2 of the schools to do an intergenerational project for us. This is going to be quite an interesting first year for these projects because it's something brand new for all of us to be doing. But the idea really is to reach out to the young people in the town who are the future of the town. And the aims of this, just to remind everybody, are to bring attention and focus to the history of the town, its people and its achievements, to create a sense of pride and belonging for all who live in Westgate. Long term, through the education of our young people, to create a sense of ownership and responsibility for their town. Through historical knowledge, local knowledge, participatory activity and engagement, engender pride, respect, sense of community and good standards. And doing this, this work with the schools and the care homes, making it Westgate based, will get them thinking about those things, because a project pack was created for them so that they had some guidance on what to do, and the whole theory behind it, apart from this, is to have a bit of fun doing this, to learn about the town and just develop that pride, which is where we've then developed our tag and our motto, Westgate Proud, and from there we've had a logo developed, Celebrate Westgate. And we've been working with a local lady called Rebecca, who is a graphic designer, and she's been assisting us with a lot of things leading up to the logo, working on bits and pieces for us that we could take to PR, so that we can start to get a real visual impact through. Well, I've actually got.
You've got the hard copy.
I've got the hard copy here. So that's.
Okay.
If you can see.
Yeah.
But going forward, this will also appear on merchandise like mugs, t-shirts, tea towels. We're doing a couple of items this year to start off, and then the whole idea is that each year we can build this a little bit more. So it's starting in small ways.
21st or 18th.
Very much.
Right, so the 18th is the actual anniversary, But what we had to agree was a celebration day, which we thought would be best on the nearest Sunday, because the anniversary day will be on a different day every year. So the 21st of July is the day when we're having the fun for the town. So we're using the greens in Sea Road this year. We did want to originally use Lymington Green, but unfortunately we couldn't get permission to use it. So we're doing it in Sea Road this year, but we're spreading along the greens. And we're incorporating local people and their talents, whether it be music, cakes, whatever. And then in the centre of the town, using Adrian Square and Ethelbert Square, we're going to have hopefully up to 30 stalls in each of those squares selling artisan products.
Good, thank you. Yes, Councillor King.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to Councillor Page for a report and all of our work, which I do actually appreciate. Just on the point, I wonder why that you said that there was no permission to use the green. Just like to remind the Town Council that the green belongs to the people of Westgate. It was left in perpetuity to us by Ted Smart many years ago, and TDC do no more than look after it as for managers, but that ground belongs to us. And TDC also have the liberty to charge us and anybody else to actually use it. But I think we ought to remember that that green is ours. It belongs to the people of Westgate, and the deeds were left to us. So perhaps that's something we want to look at the asset transfer, and something we want to speed up and take back.
So in response to Councillor King, obviously I've been working with the Town Clerk on most of this, and the Town Clerk can probably explain a little bit more background to the applications she made to use Lymington Green.
Thank you. Yeah. Basically, it's the access problem. It's not actually that we can't use the green, it's getting access onto the green. So for the fun fair, that would be a massive problem because they need to have access and get on there. Kent County Council won't permit the access vehicles over where they used to have access, and that's where I've got to speak to Kent County Council and see how we can get around the access issue. It's something we can definitely explore for the future, but we didn't have time for this year.
Okay. Councillor Crawford.
Yes, could Councillor King explain why we lost the access on his watch to Lymington?
Well, I'll take that as a rhetorical.
Councillor King explain?
Councillor Rolfe.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, I'd just like to say congratulations to Councillor Page for the work and effort she's put in with the other people on her team. Just picking up, you said about 30 stalls per green, 60 stalls. Have you had a good response on them yet, so far?
Can I pass that to the Town Clerk?
Yeah.
Because our admin assistant is actually managing that part of it.
Thank you. Yes, we've had a really positive response, and since the press releases and things, I mean, it's gathered pace now. So yeah, no, I'm confident that we can meet our 60 target, 60 stalls, 30 in each green.
Good, well done.
Okay, well done, thank you. Can we pass on? No. Councillor Matthews got it.
I'm happy about it. Yeah, it was only just a quick one. It was just to follow on from the community surgeries, as we have it on every third Saturday of each month. Yeah, I just want to thank all councillors who actually do get involved in this, because I think it is great for residents to actually meet the councillors and respect the time they've taken. The last one was with myself and Pauline O'Connor, Councillor Pauline O'Connor. So the next one coming forwards will be on the 20th, but that's on a Easter weekend. So is that still going ahead? Are you still able to fulfill that one?
I mean, I can speak to the library. I haven't heard that it wouldn't be possible. Nobody's told me that it's not possible. I'm sure it will be open. So if you're happy to take the day and use it, then I'm sure it'll be available.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've already got a councillor who's willing to take part, but
sorry, the report is supposed to be reporting on what you've done rather than...
okay, so everyone else out there. Oh?
Okay,
I'm showing the reports in. Okay, yeah, excellent. So we also have our speed watch sessions with the new machine, so still very positive about that one, and I'll fulfil my report.
Good, thank you. Councillor Connor.
Just to say that we're working very closely with the Town Clerk, and we are just about ready to show the reports on both the manual finance that we've been doing and for the year end we should have got the one with the package that we bought. So that will be produced at the next finance and general purpose meeting for the year end.
Excellent moment to move on to item 10, the finance report. So we have 4 finance reports attached to your agenda. Do you want to go through them one by one, Councillor Cameron?
Well, these have been presented to the finance and general purpose meeting. They're just obviously for review and ratification. We've got the bank reconciliation just to show you how that's going at the moment. We've got the budget versus expenditure report, and we've got the forecast report for this year, and we've got the breakdown of the payments that we paid out in February. So if anybody's any questions or anything to come through, we haven't received anything, have we?
Any questions? Can we receive these reports together?
Councillor Nottingham.
Yeah, Councillor Nottingham. Yes?
Proposal to receive.
Second.
Councillor Crawford.
Okay, all those in favour? Yes. Yes. Okay. Planning applications, and you will see on your addendum that we have a planning application number 21, which we take together with this item. We've got 3 applications to comment on. The first is on Teach Rise, Westgate of Seas, which yes, I know where it is. Just 2 PVC windows at the back.
There haven't been any objections on this, and it fits the existing style and is sympathetic to the demands of the conservation area.
Okay, so are we agreed no objection? Yes. All those in favour? Thank you. Camborne Avenue, erection of a single storey rear extension. Have you seen anything on this? Single storeys are usually up to
Yeah, there were no complaints by residents, and the layout of those houses seem to have sort of quite a lot of space around them, so it didn't seem to be any issue there at all.
Okay, so no objection, fully agreed? Yes? Good, thank you. And Victoria Avenue. Any comments on Victoria Avenue?
Yeah. I looked on, well actually I live very close to this particular property.
I know, that's what I looked at.
And I've been online and there's obviously a complaint from one of the residents there. And what they're actually saying is, again, it's a retrospective one. They've already done the work, which they seem to be getting a lot of retrospective planning permissions. I mean, it looks quite tidy at the front there. I would say that it doesn't, but what they're actually saying is that they're now marketing that it was parking for 6 cars on there, which actually, in the best one in the world, you could only get 3 on there. So if they're actually marketing that you could put 6 cars down that street, it would be unbelievable. So, I mean, that's the problem I've got. It's actually parking to get 2 cars in and out would be it. But I think the fact is, again, we've got retrospective. I mean, it's neat, and I can't fault the fact that it's neat, but it's this word of retrospective again. And however, it should only be for 2 vehicles, not for any more than 2 vehicles.
Councillor Hansel.
Yeah, so the planning application, it was 2 parking spaces plus landscaping, whereas actually they completely paved over the front of the house. And I mean, a lot of the front houses along that area have a lot of paving, but they also have some landscaping as well. It's just the fact that the planning application was 2 parking spaces plus landscaping, and the whole thing is now concreted over, and there's suggesting that it's parking spaces. So there's been 2 complaints actually about this by the neighbours. So I think we should back our residents up and state concern about this, that once again it's a retrospective plan application and it's not following their original plan application.
Councillor Bornford, then I'll give Councillor Messenger.
Yes, this is really important when we object to this because the amendment was on the 9th of March and that was 6 weeks after the driveway was finished. And also there are a lot of campers and large vans around and it could accommodate a camper van on there if it changed hands to other owners. But it's just complete neglect on part of the developers taking any notice of planning law TDC.
If you'd like me to call it in, I could happily call it in, but obviously just realise that I might not be in planning next time around or even elected, but happy to call it in. I do think you're right in what you're saying. I think it's they can revert it back to landscape and there's no reason why they can't. It's only paving, so there's no reason why it can be called in.
Yeah, I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this building was retrospectively changed as well, wasn't it? Because it was originally wasn't for as big as what the building had.
Yeah, they didn't retrospectively change it. They put in a second planning application, which was unfortunately accepted because it was narrower than the original one that they put through. Because I actually wanted to have it declined initially because I felt it was overdevelopment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to call it in, I can call it in.
So can we summarise a summary of the points that we need to make?
Well, I was going to say, if Councillor Messenger is happy to call this in, then I think if members agree, then that should be the proposal.
Okay. Do you all agree?
Yeah. You'll still need to obviously raise your objections.
So what was the summary of our objections that we were made?
The excessive use of paving, no landscaping, it's a retrospective, which I don't think is a material consideration, but it's, yeah. So I think those are the 2 that can be material considerations.
And then as item 21, we have for Carlton Road East. Not a strange one. We go from windows and then moving an external wall outward within the footprint of the house. Which doesn't go quite Does anybody have any feedback on Carlton Road East? Yeah, Councillor.
There haven't been any objections to this one. No, nothing.
It's facing north. Sorry. I assume this is facing the golf course,
Yes.
so there's nobody looking straight at it. So no objection, do we record no objection on that?
Yeah.
Yes, so everybody agreed?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then just a note in the decided applications, it's been granted on both applications. I think we had no objections to those 2 anyway. We come to item 12, the neighbourhood plan. Do you wish to add, actually?
Sorry.
Yes. Go ahead then.
So basically, I brought the neighbourhood plan to the last full council meeting, and people gave me feedback. So then I went away and redrafted it or added bits in. So then I took it to the neighbourhood plan steering group, and they agreed with the comments that you made and the bits that I added in. So things that I added were parts like the extra community actions that we've been doing recently, so the Westgate Day, and Councillor Page sent me information, so that's added in. The refurbishment and redevelopment of the railway station, and also Westgate in Blue, so they've been all added into the neighbourhood plans. I think they're quite big, poignant projects that we've got going at the moment. And also the speed of traffic. Sorry, what's it called? Speed watch. So I've added in all those things that we're doing, which are brilliant. And then I've also added in some more policies, such as, I'll just get to them. So I've added in a flood risk policy. So the planning applications won't be supported if they contain a full flood risk and mitigation report, including how sustainable drainage will be maintained and will be fit for purpose in the future. Because I went to a talk about climate change and they were talking about flooding, and they said it's all very good adding sustainable drainage, however, with permeable pavements, if you don't maintain those permeable pavements, they won't be permeable anymore. So I think we need to push TDC to explain how the developers are going to put in that plan for this type of thing to be maintained, so the pavements to be maintained and things like that.
May I make a comment,
Yeah.
just briefly, regarding the flooding? Could you bear in mind that some parts of Westgate did have rivers going through? Victoria Avenue was one of them. And if we don't have proper drainage when they build those new houses down at the fields at the end, we could get flooding in some of the roads, such as Victoria Avenue, which did have rivers running through them at one time. So it's an important consideration.
Yeah, so as the start of this section, I've stated that there have been floods in Westgate which have resulted in deaths of residents. This has occurred due to runoff from agricultural roads, from agriculture down roads such as Belmont, Quecks Road, Court Street Road, and I'm adding Victoria Road as well. So residents of town and the town council are concerned that if this can happen over good quality soil, then the risk could increase when the area is concreted over. I've stated that the government's put into place good standards to ensure that developers take flood risk into account. However, the ongoing maintenance of the sustainable drainage systems are of concern to us. And actually, I've looked at the plans from Millwood Homes and JTP, and they have actually looked at all these flood risk areas, and they pointed out where the flood risks are on the map, and taking these things into account. So we just need to be on it to make sure that this happens and they're maintained.
I feel I should give the floor to Councillor Collins. She's done that.
Have you got Morden Avenue? That's a riverbed as well, because it floods out Elm Grove and the old Ingram stable area.
Victoria Avenue and
Morden Avenue.
how do you spell it?
Maudaunt.
M-A-U-N-D.
I'll tell you afterwards. Maudant.
Is that Morden? Cool.
Morden Avenue,
Thank you.
down into Elm Grove, because that is, survey-wise, is high-risk flood area.
Okay. Councillor O'Connor.
Do you know if there's anything going on at the moment? Because people have been out in the fields putting flags and poles up at the moment.
Yeah, that's the archaeological survey that they're doing at the moment. So they're finding there's lots of crop circles all around there, and they are finding things. And of course, we do actually have an underground heritage monument, which is called Queck Settlements. It's an underground, possibly Roman settlement, which is under the ground. If you're on Linksfield Road and you look straight down, there's a big area there that they can't actually get on, which is quite interesting, but not many people know about, and I didn't know about before I started doing this neighbourhood plan. So I added that policy about flood risk. I've added a policy about protection of species, wildlife species and biodiversity. And then I've actually added a policy about protecting the residents abutting, is that the correct word? Abutting a new development. So protection of residents living next to the development. So, you know, it's a big development, and although residents don't have a right to a view, many have enjoyed unrestricted views across the countryside, and this development represents a great loss to them. The Town Council feels that the developers should consider the existing residents when designing the new homes, and where possible leave an open aspect next to the residents' houses. Many residents would like to see some kind of nature walkway between them and the new houses, so they do not feel hemmed in by the new development. Now, TDC has actually put forward on their plan a nature walkway between the existing residents and the new development. However, Millwood Homes is suggesting that this could become a wetland. So if you have a walkway around the edge of the development, it's not like how we're walking around the houses at the moment, where we'll keep walking around the perimeter and we can see the open countryside. They're saying that this could become like quite a, you know, this might not be as nice as we think it would be. But also, of course, they're going to say that because it loses open space and doesn't benefit the open space within their development. So I'm not too sure whether the argument is correct that they're making. But what I've stated in our policy is that the Town Council will only support planning applications that take into account reasonable spacing between existing residents and new houses, and ensuring that the new builds do not restrict light to the existing residents, and also, where possible, leave open aspects next to the existing houses. Is there anything else that you think I should add to that to make it more clear?
Thank you, Chair. Just perhaps as an add-on to what you're adding there, do they take any notice of animal nests like foxes, lares and owls? And because when I look out my bedroom window, there's a nest of foxes, and there's 5 out the other night, about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was so nice to watch them playing around before they go and hide. And up in that big tree opposite me, there's an owl's nest up there. You can actually hear the owls at night. They're bloody nuisance, but you can hear them.
Okay, well, yeah, they do. They have to do a habitats assessment, and they have to do like an environmental impact assessment on the site. So there'll be an independent surveyor going around and doing this. But actually, how will they know that the foxes are there or the owls there? I think actually you can go onto like a Kent monitoring website where you say, I've seen an owl, I've seen foxes. Perhaps this is something I can think about. If it's the Kent Biological Monitoring, but if you want me to, I'll look that up and I'll try and add that in to say that we've seen there's an owl in this particular tree. I know the tree that you mean.
Yeah, thank you.
And then in that corner there that there's foxes. And when you put that onto their site, they then have it, and then the surveyors can look on that site and see. So the more people register things that they see on that site, the more will be taken notice of. So that's, I'll add that into the records.
Thank you.
And can I put this?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, through the chair, sorry. Have you got copies of the updated one?
Did you send it?
I did send it.
Send it round?
Okay, so
So they're the main updated policies
yeah.
that I've added in. And also an infrastructure policy that the Town Council only supports developments which provide infrastructure needed at the right time. For example, roads, water, sewage, school, doctor. It's, you know, it's a very small policy, and all these policies need to be agreed by TDC. And they might come back to me and ask me a little bit more about the wording, like what does this actually mean that developers need to do. But you know, this is as far, you know, this is as detailed as we can make it at the moment.
Okay. On that point, James Raitt, who from Kent County Council, that one of their transport experts, who actually lives in Birchington, offered to come and brief us on development of the road infrastructure around here at some point if council are interested. And I said, of course, if we're all here after the second.
We did have a meeting with him.
Yes.
So it was about 2 years, 3 years?
Well, he said 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years, 3 years, yeah, very informative as well.
Yes.
He told us about the 106 for Shot Lane and all the rest of them. How they haven't got any money, and he's very open, Mr. Langford.
Yes, yeah. No, I enjoy talking to him. There is incidentally on Thursday morning a meeting of the forum, which is the discussion between TDC and the town and parish councils. We cover a variety of issues, but on that list will be the use of Section 106 funds and what and the need for discussion between TDC and town and parish councils about how that money is used.
They will take it themselves, don't they?
Well, of course, it's
Yeah.
that's why it's something different.
Just the last final point. People can't really see this, it's a bit too small, but Councillor Cornford has made the most wonderful image, including all sorts of different heritage assets in the town. So in the middle, I don't know if people have seen the plan, but when you download it, you'll be able to see this. And actually, this is just copied and pasted, so it's not as good a quality as it should be. I need to be able to put that whole thing in the document. But basically, she's taken pictures of all the different heritage assets in the town, and then a map in the middle with like a little key. And then on the second page, you then can see what these heritage assets are. So it's really, really amazing. And Councillor Cornford was like, oh, I haven't done much work. And then she presented us with this. So once again, I think the way that this is presented and the images throughout the neighbourhood plan, hopefully it won't just be, a document with boring policies. It's actually going to be quite a nice document about the town as well, about what the town council is doing.
That's interesting. Sorry, could you just clarify what are the next steps then?
Okay, so if you are happy with it tonight, then it will go to TDC for a sustainability appraisal, which should be quite quick, but they're under the local plan examination at the moment, so you never know. We haven't allocated any land for development, so there's no sustainability appraisal needed really. They just need to tick it off to say that there's not one needed. Then I just need to set it so when it prints out it doesn't go all over the place. And then it goes to referendum. So Councillor O'Connor has kindly suggested that she can look into how, and hopefully Clark, can look into how to draw the money down from locality to take this to referendum, because we should be paying for this. And then the residents vote on it. And then hopefully enough residents say, yeah, this is a good thing. I mean, it protects our seafront from over-development, it protects our heritage assets, it protects our community assets, it protects our green spaces, and hopefully it's going to set in place some policies to, if the houses go ahead, to ensure that they're developed in as good a way as possible for us. So.
Great. Thank you very much. That's terrific progress, and I would strongly support your point about it's going to be a key document for Westgate as a whole, because it brings together such a wealth of information. It's amazing. Yes.
I hope you don't mind. I mean, I have to say Hannah and the team have done an amazing job on this document. It's no mean feat. So I think well done. But just to pick up what you were saying, Chairman, about the 106 agreement, you've got this meeting on Thursday. It might be an idea to engage with some of the schools about 106 agreements, because the biggest problem when it comes through to planning is that they don't have projects which the developers can support with money, so they end up going outside the area. So So it's really important when their subsidies go for education or medical surgeries or whatever it is that they've got to mitigate, then especially the schools, often they don't have any projects in mind, so the money doesn't go to them. So what they have to do is they have to let KCC know that they've got a project that they're looking for funding. Now, KCC will probably say, oh, we're not going to fund it, but they might get funding from a developer through that resource. So I think that might be an idea for the town council to engage with those sorts of establishments to make sure they've got something. I mean, I'm sure they've got a shopping list, but they need to make sure that KCC know about it.
Yes,
Can I just make a quick comment on the back of that? Thank you for pointing that out. So from the social prescribing that I went to, the Westgate surgery were saying that there is things that they would like to do, but they don't know how to get funding for. So it might be worth speaking to the surgery manager and basically making her aware, so that then when you're going to this meeting, you might be able to take that proposal with you.
Yes, councillor.
Just a word of caution, in the £2,000 allocation, there is, the developers have to pay into a 3-form entry primary school, and then have to pay into leaving space of land for a new surgery out there. Plus they have to leave land for a new commercial centre, which we've got to question actually, because we don't want a whole new town centre out there. And we're leaving ourselves open for maybe a Tesco's or something like that, I don't know. But it's the wording of it is making me a bit anxious. If there's just a few shops out there, which is fair enough, you know, people always need corner shops. However, it's just the wording seemed to be quite a large development of commercial shops out there, which we don't want them to take away from the town centre. So just be careful, because we can't. That I think the developers are going to have quite a lot of things to pay into. They've got to pay into the new road, the school, the medical centre, and also then the affordables, that they might say there's no money left over for anything else. So before we put people's hopes up, just be cautious.
Okay, thank you. DFIPS.
So this is really quick.
Yeah, it was just a decision needed.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
We skipped over that.
Okay, so as I understand it, we vote to adopt
Yes.
the current draft of the plan.
Yes, that's, yeah.
Yes, please. Proposing. Seconding. Councillor Matthews Scott. All those in favour? Thank you.
Well done. Despite everything.
Yes, if I can just echo Councillor Messenger's comments. Looking back after 4 years, if you think where we are now is probably achieved more or less than I might have expected 4 years ago. I think the neighbourhood plan is an example of actually where we've done more than I might have expected. I think to produce a document like that with all that it implies in terms of community involvement and safeguarding for the future, I think it's really important. DFIPS.
Okay, so this is quick. So the original proposal was to get a British Heart Foundation grant for a defibrillator for the Swan. We then at last meeting agreed that we should apply for 3. British Heart Foundation said that we need to they need to take each of the applications 6 months apart because they are oversubscribed. So they've approved the first one, which is the Swan, which is ready to go, to be situated outside. Within the next 6 months, they'll make a decision on the second one, and then 6 months after that on the third one. So 2 of the DFIPs will need to be passed on to next council to run through that grant process, which I'm happy to take whoever it is through. But we have 1 on the way, which is the one for the Swan.
Good. So do we need a decision?
Yeah, I mean, basically, that was if we had the 3, but we've only been approved for 1, so that's fine.
And they basically approve it based on the location that you've applied for, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
So
approve
it's
the
just
Swan, so we have to
Follow
use the
the
Swan.
decision we've
Yeah.
already taken.
And the Swan was brought up in the last DFID and CPR training, I think you remember, Councillor Page, and it was basically a site that people were saying they needed to do that, so the Swan are happy that it's going to be there, so we're all sorted in that.
Good, okay, thank you. Policies,
Yes.
would you like to introduce them, or Councillor Crawford introduce them?
I'm happy to. Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Right, so we've got 2 policies tonight. The volunteer policy, I know, has been to council before. It's actually,
Sorry. What about community, the Asset Transfer Limited Road? Full policies?
that's got to go to closed session now because we've got the heads of terms through today.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry, yes, you're right, I'm sorry, I should have explained.
Thank you. So the volunteer policy, I brought this through this evening. It's been to the Human Resources Committee and the Finance and General Purposes Committee. And it's very important now as we've got these initiatives and projects, Westgate Day and Westgate and Bloom, and we're going to be looking for people from the community to actively get involved and volunteer with us. So this is part of our policy that we need to adopt this evening, please. Thank you.
Any comments? No, it touches a variety of areas, and at one point we were thinking of not having a separate policy, but in my view it's good as a standalone document. Councillor Crawford?
I propose that we adopt it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Crawford. All those in favour? Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the second one
And the
is...
second policy this evening is the health and safety policy. By law, actually, because we've got 5 employees, we do need this policy. I tried to make it as short as possible, but it does cover all the eventualities and different risk assessments and things that we have in place. And it's quite comprehensive. I think it's not too lengthy now and quite easy for people to read. And obviously, it's members wouldn't be involved too much in it, but there are parts that do apply to members as well. But it's mostly for employees and to ensure that our operatives in particular are all looked after. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Crawford?
I'd just like to thank the clerk for all the work she did on the health and safety policies, because it was a cumbersome, very cut and paste policy when she took it on. It's now reduced to less than half the size. So thank you.
Yes, indeed. Any comments on the policy, or proposed we adopt it?
Councillor
You propose it?
Yeah, propose.
Yes, okay.
And who seconded, sorry? Councillor Page.
So all those in favour? Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
Yeah, thank
item
you.
16, Clark.
Thank you, yes. So, this is in relation to the office support roles for the Town Council. Our administrator that's on maternity leave, she's now actually confirmed that she won't be returning to the Town Council, she won't be continuing her employment here, which I know has been discussed previously that with the budget, we've actually got 2 roles budgeted for this year. And with the initiatives and projects that are blossoming now, and we've got much more administration on our shoulders, I feel it's quite vital that we do have 2 roles. And I'd like to propose that one role actually works towards being the assistant town clerk, because I think that some of the meetings now, with the working groups particularly, there could be somebody else that steps in and takes on some of those smaller group meetings, so that I'm not tied to those all the time. So this evening I'd like to propose that we advertise for the 2 part-time roles, and one of them will be working towards being the assistant town clerk in the very near future. Just get that agreement.
Any comments? Yes,
Yeah, I just wondered, in our budget line, what kind of, have we been just employing a number of hours, so therefore we've got enough money to employ another, or did we decide we've got like enough money to be able to employ 2 part-time assistants?
The budget was set with 2 part-time
Yeah.
assistants in
Yeah.
place. Yeah. On a slightly higher revenue.
Anything else? Oh, gas, okay.
Wouldn't it be worth considering employing a assistant town clerk rather than one working towards it?
Well,
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to suggest that I want somebody that can actually work with me towards, so it won't be somebody that's coming in, you know, already being an assistant. I think it's important that you give somebody the ground rules first and get them working towards it so they can work with me and you know, to know how our town council works, because every town council is different.
okay.
Yeah, I propose that we go with the town clerk suggestion. Lee, obviously, the town clerk is proven, and she's done a lot, and she's taken on more than what a town clerk should undertake, and far more foremost. So I believe that with her view, we should take that on. I propose what she's requesting.
Okay.
Yes.
Councillor
Seconded.
Seconded, yeah. All those in favour?
Thank you.
Was that an abstention? No, that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we now need to conduct the rest of the business in closed session, so council will pass a resolution to its, yes, well.
One more item we can